Game of Thrones Season 8 begins in symmetry with the very first episode of the show itself. But instead of the incestuous Lannisters arriving at Winterfell, it's the hot new incestuous couple, Jon and Dany, arriving at Winterfell alongside an army of Unsullied, a bunch of familiar faces, 2 increasingly hungry dragons, and a cockchoke.
Should consider yourself lucky. At least your balls won't freeze off.
Cue a bittersweet reunion between the remaining Stark children and a slightly more tense introduction between Sansa and Dany.
Winterfell is yours, Your Grace.
The Lady of Winterfell remains sceptical of the Dragon Mother's right to the Iron Throne, and it seems that she's also a bit pissed that she's got to find food for her pets.
What do dragons eat, anyway?
Whatever they want.
As the Stark homestead becomes the last stand for every bannerman in the north, most still consider Jon their king, despite the fact that he bent the knee to Daenerys in Season 7. Which brings us to Samwell Tarly, who's told by Dany that she killed his father when he refused to surrender.
At least I'll be allowed home again, now that my brother's the Lord.
Yeah, about that.
Your brother stood with your father.
Meanwhile, at King's Landing, Cersei finally accepts Euron Greyjoy to her bedchambers after he brings her a new army in the form of the Golden Company. Unaware that Cersei is already pregnant with Jaime's unborn child, the self-proclaimed King of the Iron Islands wants to give her a gift.
I'm going to put a prince in your belly.
Around the same time, Qyburn also asks Bronn to assassinate both Jaime and Tyrion for the Queen.
She has a keen sense of poetic justice.
Further north at Last Hearth, Tormund, Beric and Edison discover a gruesome graveyard of corpses left as a sign by the Night King, who's marching ever closer. Back at Winterfell, Jon finally learns about his true parentage, and Sam begs him to accept his birthright as ruler of the Seven Kingdoms.
Your mother was Lyanna Stark. And your father, your real father, was Rhaegar Targaryen.
Jon, as you can imagine, for someone who's just learned he's sleeping with his auntie, is lost for words. Speaking of which, Jaime arrives at Winterfell, only to be met with an icy stare from plot device Bran, who seems to finally remember the cause of his fall that kicked off this sorry chain of events all the way back in Season 1.